What's up, Minecraft superstars? It's time for video 13, basic probability. Let's get started. Love this stuff. It's a blast. People use the term probability many times each day. For example, a physician might say you have a 50-50 chance of surviving a certain operation. So it's kind of like a 1 in 2 or 1/2 chance. Another physician might say that they're 95% certain that a patient has a particular disease. So you can tell here that we're dealing with both fractions, like you can see a fraction here, and percents. Now, to be clear, the majority of the time I want you to answer as a fraction, but if the problem does have percents in it, you are welcome to answer as percents. So what's the probability of rolling a 3? Well, there's 1 3 out of 6 possibilities, so that's a 1 in 6 chance. Do that division, you get 0.1667. Then multiply by 100 or move the decimal over 2 places, and you get 16.67%. What's the probability that you're watching this video on a day that starts with a T? Well, that would be either what, Tuesday or Thursday, and there's 2 of those days out of 7. That reduces to 0.2857, which we moved the decimal 2 places. That's a 28.57% chance. Or we can say we've got an odds of 2 out of 7, or the probability is 2/7. Now, what if I said, what's the probability of picking out a red marble here? Well, you can't see the other one, but there's 5 red marbles in this jar out of 20 total marbles. Well, 5 over 20 is 0.25 or 25. And you could reduce this fraction if you want to 1/4 as well. Now, this is our formula right here for probability. It's called theoretical because sometimes it just doesn't work out, right? If I'm saying that there's a 1 in 6 chance of rolling a 3, does that guarantee that I'll get a 3 once out of 6 tosses? No, absolutely not. But in theory, that does make sense. That is in theory how many I should get. All right, well, what is the formula? It's the number of favorable or desirable outcomes divided by the total number of possible outcomes. Our probability notation looks like this. And this means what's the probability that we're going to spin a green? It's almost like you have your P stands for probability, and then your argument is inside the parentheses. So what's the probability of green? Well, let's use this formula. What is my numerator? That's the number of favorable or desirable outcomes. Well, what's favorable here? I've got 120 degrees. That is good. That works. That is green. So I've got 120 degrees. And then what's the total possible number of outcomes? Well, how many degrees in a full circle? Of course, that's 360. And that's going to reduce to 1/3. Or we can say 33.3%. All right, let's get a little bit more difficult here. Notice how I've got harder things that I'm trying to do here. And I've also got a missing angle right here. Well, what do the degrees in a circle add up to? That's 360. So if I add up all 4 of those numbers, subtract from 360, I do get that this one is 60. All right, now, if you have not watched the video about how to reduce fractions, that is an absolute must. You have to watch it. We're going to do it probably hundreds of times. So at the very beginning of this video section, in this assignment, make sure you watch this, please, how to do it. You're going to basically press math and then fraction on your calculator, and it reduces it into the lowest fraction. All right, let's get started on this. So the probability of getting a star, well, how many stars do we have? We have a 45 and a 90. So the favorable outcomes here are 135 possible positive outcomes out of a total number of 360 degrees. Well, that reduces to 0.375, or if you use your math fraction, which I've taught you on that video I'm referring to, you get 3/8. What's the probability of getting blue or red? Well, I got to add up my 60 and my 45. Of course, that's 105 over 360, and that is 7 over 24. What's the probability of not green? Well, you could either do 360 minus 120, or you could just add up the ones that are not green. Okay, those ones add up to 240 divided by 360. Again, press enter, get that decimal, then press math, then fraction, like I tell you how to do in that required video you must watch, and you should get 2/3. A key point here, all probabilities are between what and what? 0 and 1. 0 meaning impossible, 1 meaning it's going to happen every single time. That's it for basic probability. Thanks for watching. And again, if you haven't watched that video on how to reduce fractions, you must do that. Thanks again.